What up, guys? It's Mr. E, and today we'll be looking at the Redneck. Alright, so I'm going to be teaching you guys about the Redneck today. So when you're first starting off with Redneck, you're going to want to probably place most of your skills into the logger tree. It's a lot easier to level on the logger tree. You'll mostly be speccing down the middle of the actual tree itself, but once you guys hit level 48, I recommend throwing a bunch of points into pickup raid at the bottom of the hillbilly tree. The boys just come in handy, I'm just saying. They come in guns blazing, they help clear the map. It's really nice, helps really well in dungeons as well. So I recommend trying pickup raid, and just fire break in general is something that'll help clear the map quicker as well, and that's part of the whole leveling process. The more mobs you kill, the faster the XP you'll get, and it just works out. So these are the skills I plugged in for somebody who's leveling up the Redneck, and I hope that it actually works for you as you're leveling through to level 100. I did not plug any hero levels in, but I did assume that you guys might have a merc, so these are the skills that I plugged in for my mercenary. As you move forward, you might want to put a bunch of points into damage at the very beginning, but then respec for survivability later. I did not put any endgame gear on my merc, but I went ahead and put a bunch of all resist stuff with XP on it and a decent amount of armor. So as you can see, I threw some mythics that are actually really nice early on if you guys don't find satanic gear and stuff for yourself. These type of items are definitely half decent. I also gave my merc health per second percent item for his weapon, that way he can stay alive easier. So anything with health percent per second on it is really nice. I went ahead and gave myself a mythic helmet because this is more realistic. When you first are leveling to 100, more than likely you'll find something like this rather than a satanic, but there are a bunch of other options you might find, such as Judge, Jury, Executioner, or something with crit on it. I went ahead, like I said though, and went with something a little tankier that had damage, and it has all resist. You could always go with something with way more armor if you want damage reduction, such as like Colossal Helm. I went ahead and went with a metal ring for the all resist. I threw a baby log necklace on because I thought that that was a good idea. You could always go with Rift Warrior's skull. Both are very decent choices at the beginning because physical actually scales better at the beginning until you get the Redneck set. But if you happen to find baby logs a lot, then use one. I went ahead and put on just a random charm that gave decent stats. And there's a bunch of other ones you can find as you progress further that all roll randomly. But it really comes down to if you're making a build later. This is just, the starter setup. Went ahead and threw on a Fire God's chest plate. Could always go with Gladiator's Demise. They are level requirement 50, so you might find them early on. And I went ahead and put Fire Gods on because it's actually tankier. And that's basically the only reason. I put Monkey Skin Belt on. You might find better belts as you go on, but I wanted the cooldown and the damage reduction and the all talents, so if you happen to find Monkey Skin Belt, it's a very good starter belt. Diamond Greaves, oh my gosh, these things are amazing for level 75 requirement. This might change in future seasons. They might make this an S tier at level 100 requirement, but for now, 75 level requirement, holy crap. Prismatic Potion's a level 100 requirement potion, but I'm using it for the all resists. It's huge. You need that for Helm mode. Scarab Gauntlets are super tanky, level requirement 75. They even have life per hit percent. Are you kidding me? These things are great for a starter character and super tanky. I went ahead and crafted a Harvester. It's a little bit harder weapon to craft. It doesn't use high runes, but it does use some hell runes. But you know, you can wear it at level 75, so if you happen to get lucky enough to craft one before you hit level 100, then you have a saw that's actually really decent. It also comes with weapon sweep. It's an okay skill. It's not something that I would brag about, you know. You can find Harvester inside the journal. It's under H. You just have to find H. I obviously can't, you know, alphabet. But here's Harvester. It uses a Dao, Yeet, Ya, Dao, and Ya again. So, a couple actual hell runes, but it is obtainable. So, you know, you could also buy them from the auction house if you need to. Here's the relics that I chose, and these relics are also going to be used on all the other builds in this video. So if by chance you're wondering what relics did you use in the other like builds, well, these are the same, so I didn't change them. The way I have this set up, my damage reduction is over 100k, and let's see what the damage looks like. Keep in mind, this setup is not optimal. This is basically for level up. So since we want to actually get out of the whole beginner leveling build, we're going to go ahead and respec into what would actually do more damage for us now that we're level 100. We're going to actually skip on putting points into tire fire. That's something that we'll do later when we actually want to make a build around it. But for now, that's just going to be a random perk that can proc every once in a while from our attacks. What we're going to work on actually is a physical damage build, because physical damage actually does more damage if you're not doing tire fire, which is kind of crazy. So we're going to go ahead and put a bunch still into attack speed. We definitely want 20 into Chainsaw Massacre. We want 20 into Chainsaw Mastery, because we're going to be using a chainsaw. It will also scale our abilities higher, because we have a two-handed chainsaw that we're using. And the rest of the points we're probably going to throw into durable wear. That way we have more stamina and more armor. We're going to be using Double Saw 4000. We're going to be using a Rift Warrior skull. And then we're going to swap out the chest piece for Gladiator's Demise. That way we actually get a little bit more strength, a little bit more physical. Like I said, we do lose some damage reduction because the chest piece that we're wearing right now, the Flame Gods, is actually a little tankier. But it's okay. We have enough to survive in what we're doing right now, which is actually just Hell mode. Just Hell 1, I should say. So here you have it, an affordable setup for once you hit level 100. All this gear is actually 10 out of 10, 100%. So you will see a little bit of a drawback as far as damage goes whenever you guys set this up yourself. And you can totally find even better pieces as you go. Super random pieces and stuff as you're, playing, that you can piece in there, and it would be way better than what I have in this video. But this is just an example of something you can put together once you get to 100 that will help you cruise through Hell 1. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Redneck Set. The Redneck Set is a 4-piece set. Comes with a hat, comes with a keychain, some boots, and a chest piece. Technically, you only need to wear 3 pieces to have the set. So I normally don't use the chest piece because there's some way better options like Oni Slayers or Shroud of Elements, or just anything else is better usually. If you happen to find an absence of constraint, you can actually use this to benefit, and you only have to wear 2 pieces of the set, and you still get the benefit of having the full set on. So usually I would use the hat and the boots, but you can use whatever combo works best for you if you happen to use the ring. So what does the Redneck's Set bonus actually do? So Redneck's work gear says, tosses additional fire tires that are larger, deals additional damage, and causes heavy burn damage. So what that means is technically you're going for a fire build now. So with that being said, I decided I was going to throw on a baby log necklace. I was going to use a doom saw. I know that in the previous build you're using physical, which makes perfect sense because you're not really using the tires for your main damage, but now that you're using the set, we're going to be swapping our talents around. So let's go ahead and plug in those new talents so that they match what we're doing with the set bonus. We're going to put in most of the same skills as before, but we're going to take out a couple from Moonshine Madness and throw them into Tire Fire instead. Always make sure that you plug in the right talents after you respec too, because that's a good way to get yourself killed or embarrassed in front of your friends. Whatever it is, just make sure you respec your talents on your hotbar after you respec your skills. The more attack speed you have, the more tires will shoot out, and the more cooldown you have, the better the chance that you're going to continually throw tires. So make sure you have full cooldown if you can, make sure you have a bunch of attack speed if you can, and go at it, have fun. These tires also travel really far distance, so it's a really good way to actually fire from a distance and stay safe. And there you have it. That is the Redneck setup, and this is what the Redneck set does. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at the Lumberjack setup. What I can tell you is the Lumberjack set has 4 pieces just like the Redneck set does. The only difference is this one comes with a chainsaw and gloves instead of, a chest piece and a charm. These are all based around physical damage, unlike the Redneck set, which is fire. And that doesn't mean you can't play fire. This class literally uses fire skills, but you can totally just go physical with this one as well. I tested it all out. The Lumberjack setup chainsaw actually does way more damage than Doomsaw 4000, so technically if you're not swapping to like a Big Joe or a higher end game saw, it doesn't really make sense to swap out to something else. So for the most part, the Lumberjack saw or set saw is actually mid-game best in slot, so I would just stick with it till you can, afford something way better. So with this new setup, we actually need to respec, and what I think we should do is actually plug in points into armor break and into the fire break as well. Fire break is what the set optimizes around, but fire break also triggers your armor break skill, and I think that it's a big, huge benefit to have a bunch of points into it. So technically I'm just gonna put 20 into everything basically down the right tree, down the middle. One thing I have noticed is this setup early on actually does more damage than the Redneck setup as far as set damage and bonus, but end game attack speed plus the Redneck set is way better, and I can show you on the next build. As far as end game build goes on the fire break, there isn't really one. I didn't really want to make one. It's It's actually something that needs to get buffed. Hopefully in the next season or two, it's something that gets worked on, because when it first came out, it was really busted and they nerfed it so hard it's kind of not worth making an endgame build around. So if you guys are going to make an endgame build, I'd say focus around the Redneck Set. Don't focus on the Lumberjack Set. It's just not as good. On top of that, there's problems with the actual fire break. The set says that it stacks 3 times, but it doesn't stay at 3. So it ticks up 1, 2, 3, and if you apply the fire break before it has a chance to actually stack 3 times, it won't stack 3 times. It'll stay at 1 or 2 over and over again. So the set bonus works, but only if you haven't attacked for a little while. And I think that's one thing that's busted about it, which makes it really hard to make an endgame build around. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into a more busted build. This one is more endgame. It can be modified as much as you want. It starts off with kind of low damage reduction though, just so I can put out some bigger numbers. I will show you guys how to change that to make yourself tankier and still do huge numbers though. You want to go into a lot of attack speed with this build. It does do a lot of damage mostly because of attack speed, but you don't have to have attack speed. Technically, it's just way better. So I put a lot into the skills that give attack speed. It uses Atonement, which isn't a saw, so we don't put anything into Chainsaw Mastery. And yeah, here's my hero levels. That's what I plugged in. And as far as my merc goes, those are the skills I am using. You'll notice that this build is very similar to the Demon Slayer build. It has a lot of the same items, but I replaced a couple. So I put Rainbow on, I have Calyx Fury, I am using the Atonement with Weapon Throw. Weapon Throw is very important. I'm using Oni Slayer's Prize. It comes with Fire Break. Fire Break is pretty nice. I'm using just this random belt that has some really OP stats, so I threw it on. You guys could find random belts with random rolled stats, and you might find something better. Predator Savagery. This is not needed, but I used it for more damage. Protein Shake, just for the extra boost in strength. And the Absence of Constraint, so that I can wear the 2-piece set without having to wear 3 pieces. There are ways to make your damage numbers go even higher, and there are even builds in this game that are even way different. Builds that allow you to do like blood damage and bleed over time and all that other stuff, and they're crazy, but that's not going to be in this video. So in this video, my merc is using the same setup as my Demon Slayer video. It uses Underworld Skullbreaker, it uses St. Tommy's Shield, it uses Shroud of Elements, and it uses Benetti's Rapier. Benetti's Rapier has Flash Fire Roll on it. You'll notice that my damage reduction goes up when I attack. That's part of my Redneck skill buff, and it's only 250k with this setup. Well, we could change that by taking Predator Savagery off and adding some Emerald Gloves. And just like that, the actual damage reduction goes up quite a bit, actually. If I was to modify the quality on these gloves by using Angelic Keys, the damage reduction would go even higher. You'll notice that the initial hit is quite a bit worse once swapping to the gloves, but our tankiness did go up, so survivability is a lot better. However, there is ways that we can change this, make us a little bit tankier even, and then actually pump up the damage. So one way we can actually go tankier is by swapping the flasks out to the Unworldly Cognition, just for those all stats %. And then you'll notice that our damage will actually go up a little higher too, which is kind of crazy. Overall, the drop off from swapping potions and gloves is a couple billion damage single target, but the initial hit is always pretty decent because of Benetti's. The tankiness is definitely there. You get another 100k on top of it just from swapping that around, but there are other methods of playing with high-end builds. So let's try with chainsaws. You can actually swap to chainsaws like BANJO and St. Misi's, go way tankier, and the damage drop off wouldn't actually be that bad. It's actually quite fair. So if we were going to re-roll, you can see that the damage reduction goes quite higher, and if we actually keep our stats and everything the way it is, this is what you'll see. In order to improve our damage while switching to Saw, we actually need to retalent. So we're going to go ahead and throw a bunch of points into Chainsaw Massacre. This will actually improve our overall damage quite a bit. We're also going to throw 20 points into Chainsaw Mastery as well. Chainsaw Mastery actually improves your overall ability damage, and it's really nice because we're using a two-handed saw. Definitely want to keep that attack speed going though. Attack speed is very important in this build since we're basing most of our damage off the tires, and we're using the Redneck Set to be able to get that huge bonus. I found that it didn't actually make a huge difference swapping hero levels between Poison, Blood, and Fire Burn. I guess find which one that you guys like the most, but I feel like it doesn't make a huge difference which one you choose on your hero level. It's not a huge difference. I'd probably go with Fire Burn or Bleed personally, but Poison's not a bad choice. So technically with this setup, you're basically at 600k damage reduction. If you could actually take out runes or have optimal slots to put in a whole bunch of Drax runes, you can have even more damage reduction. You end up rolling gear that happens to have a lot more all stat percent or a lot more just armor percent in general. You can have way more damage reduction from that. And if you want more HP, then focus stuff around stamina and HP percent. And that, you guys, is my Redneck guide. I hope it helped you. There's plenty more builds to be made around Redneck that aren't in this video, and Atonement is definitely not going to be part of the guide that you'll want to use for next season. It's for sure going to get nerfed, but you know, take advantage of it while you can and have fun, guys. If you guys like the video, please hit the subscription button. It'll help me a lot. And if you want to check me out live, catch me Monday through Friday on Twitch. See ya in the next video.